Hi, this is Eric, buyer of Old Vine, Texas, your premier Texas wine tasting room in DFW, featuring 100% Texas wineries from all over the state. We are located at 403 East Broad Street in Mansfield, Texas, inside of the Ancora Event Center. We have weekly tastings, charcuterie, pizza, plenty of wines by the glass, and live music. Our wine club brings you an extended taste of Texas and other great perks. You can visit our website at oldvinetexas.com to sign up for our newsletter, check our open hours, and see special events and classes and more. Or you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Old Vine, Texas. We'll see you soon.
Welcome back to We Know Texas Vino, where the Lone Star State meets wine glass. I'm your host, Will, and today we're headed deep into the hills of Kerrville Hills, where elevation, limestone soils, and relentless passions are shaping some of the most exciting wines in our state. Today's guest is a grower, winemaker, and a visionary behind Kerrville Hill Wines and the label Rivenburgh Wines. John Rivenburgh is known for pushing Texas viticulture forward with intentional site selection, thoughtful farming, and wines that truly express places. Welcome, John. How are you doing today?
I'm pretty good, man. You make me sound tall and handsome. That's fantastic, dude.
Well, yeah. I could do the rest of the show.
I love it, man.
Almost like a John Wayne, huh?
Yeah, a little bit, man. I'm doing well. We're here at Texas Wine Grower event today. Real excited to pour, with my colleagues, a whole bunch of 100% Texas wines for consumers. Yeah.
Yeah, and when this first was announced back during the Hill Country Wine Symposium, immediately bought tickets right away. Because, I love coming down here. I love spending time with y'all talking because, up in the North Texas, our soil and climates are very different than what is down here.
Yep.
And I love coming down here and talking to y'all as the winemakers and taking information back up there. And we kind of discuss and share stories and all that kind of stuff. And it's very interesting, the different climates and the different terroirs for just driving 4 hours north.
Oh, yeah, man. It's also, that's what... that's like McIntosh over there at the edge of the lake making beautiful wines, right? And the Davies have been doing for, decades. So they've been growing beautiful wines up there too. And, it's like saying that like the Rhone and Bordeaux would have the same climate, right? You would not expect that, right? And so that's the beautiful thing about our state, man, is we've got so many different regions that can do interesting stuff.
Oh, yeah. And actually, when people come in, we have the AVA map of Texas. Yeah. And I tell them we got 5 different parts of Texas. And each one's actually colored out. And I point to those people, this is where up in the high plains, this is where all the grapes are grown right here. And then this is the North Texas area. And I pointed out this is where some of the grapes are growing. And then I point over to the Southwest region and then the Hill Country and then over into the desert area. Yeah. And people are like, wow. And I said, if you think about it, we have almost every type of climate that's over in Europe here in Texas.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we certainly do, man.
Oh, man. And people are shocked by that. And they don't realize that until they see that map. So, well, before we get into all of that, because we got to know about John.
Okay.
I want to know where John came from, because like I tell everybody, every winemaker just didn't wake up one day and say, I'm going to be a winemaker. I'm going to grow grapes. Where did your humble beginnings come from? I kind of did do that. Really? To be honest, yeah. I have to eat my words now.
I don't have the I went to college and had study abroad and fell in love with wine in France or Italy or something. I didn't have that story. I come from a kind of a working class background. Okay. Where people always we did everything ourselves, right? So I had one side of my family were doctors and engineers on my dad's side. My mom's side, which I was much closer to, were all constructors, farm and ranch guys and girls, and agricultural people. And I come from a background where you learn how to do a lot of stuff because, well, you know, some family would argue that we were just cheap. Others of us would say we're poor. And so we had to do everything ourselves. Right. And now, you know, like, I mean, I love my friends. They call for, you know, guidance on, you know, it's really funny. The guidance that they call now for me as an old sage winemaker has nothing to do with making wine. It's like, how do you make this machine work? Right. We can't get this, you know, we can't get this switch to work, you know?
Well, that's when you know you're a farmer. Because when you have to go out there in a pinch and you got to fix your tractor and you don't have time to call John Deere or whoever, you just go out there and
you go look in the front door of my pickup. You can probably fix just about anything. I've got a multimeter. I've got some pruners. I've got baling wire. I've got a multi screwdriver, some duct tape. Quite literally, and some tie tape in the door because you guys saw us yesterday. We were pruning out there yesterday, but I digress. So I come from a long line of like hardworking Texans that loved the land, right? And I did in my 20s get to do a little bit of travel. I was very blessed to be able to go and do some traveling around the world, and I fell in love with like the magistry around growing grapes and making wine. My grandmother on my dad's side is she's an Hispanic woman. She's a Spaniard, and they drank wine in the home. So I had an understanding of what wine was, right? I was probably one of the few 21-year-old guys. You know, I'm 50 now, so that many years ago, guys weren't drinking wine. Right. Certainly weren't ordering wine in bars unless you were a CEO or something, right?
Snooty.
Yeah. And but I'd go, you know, it was like my biggest flex to be able to pick up chicks in college. I could order a bottle of wine and a steak at the same time. They lost their mind, dude.
This guy's a gangster right here.
They were like, yeah. My buddies had all made fun of me, you know, like my buddies were like, you don't drink whiskey, you don't drink beer. I was like, yeah, no, I drink both those things, but I also drink wine at dinner because I'm not a savage, you know. Right. Anyway, so long story short, I was working in construction, and at the time, Bob Young and I from Bending Branch were family, and contrary to popular belief, we were family long before we started the winery. And he and I had, it was kind of fun. It was like our common ground. He would come and visit from Atlanta, where he was living at the time. And we'd go and have a steak. We'd get some wine, and it was kind of a neat common ground. Right. He's as most people know, he's a brilliant intellectual, right? And I'm no mental midget, but I don't have the pedigree that Dr. Young has, right? Right. But I can fix, build, and do just about anything. So we quickly, created a relationship around the idea that, maybe we could do this someday, right? And we talked about it, and I won't bore you with all the ups and all the ins and outs of the details, but we decided to start Bending Branch Winery, and I quite literally just left what I was doing to start Bending Branch. I was in construction. Okay. I left that to start Bending Branch with Bob, and that's it, man. Ever since then, I've been running downhill. We started kind of like the research and development side of it really started in like 2006, 2007. Okay. Didn't open Bending Branch proper till like 2009, and then we opened the tasting room in 2010 to the public. Okay. I've been running downhill ever since, and you've got to know me. I'm a consummate busybody. We had a great consultant that I learned a lot from, but I'm a voracious reader. I read everything under the sun. If I'm going to do something, I want to be the best at it. I'm also like uber competitive too. So go figure. I'm also uber competitive, but to be competitive, you got to know what you're doing. Right. And a lot of people, laugh and give me a hard time because I get to do a lot of the talking for the wine industry, but I feel like my colleagues let me do that because they know I'm not full of shit. Yeah. Right? They know that I put the work in, and I'm doing it. So, that's how it started, man. And then it was just quite literally like, I want to try this. I want to try this. My ex-wife, Allison, did a lot of work on GIS to help identify varietals that would work well in Texas, right? So Tanat, Pico Blanc. I wanted to grow Grenache. We wanted to grow Tempranillo because we heard everybody should grow Tempranillo, which I disagree with. That's a whole nother deal. So the rest is, Vermentino, there's some of our early stars that we put in the ground, but most notably, I mean, Pico Blanc and Tannat were two varietals that we planted first.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what part of Texas did you grow up in?
I'm a sixth generation Santonian, man. I've been in San Antonio and in this area my whole life. Like,
so picking Kerrville was not a big deal then.
No, not at all. I don't know that I picked Kerrville, or maybe Kerrville might have picked me, in a weird way. My mom went to nursing school there many, many years ago, at Schreiner University, which is really interesting. The full circle, I come back around. I've started a viticulture program at Schreiner University. Right. But it really I never like hung out there growing up. Right. And I lived in Comfort for a bunch of years and did business in Fredericksburg and all around. But, it's a great town. It's a hidden gem, man.
It is. It definitely is.
There's days where I wish people would find it. And then there's days I'm really happy they have
Keep it secret. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, you're probably like the 7th or 8th person that I've talked to in the last 4 years that said that when they weren't looking for a place to plant, it picked them.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Blake even said the same thing about his location. He didn't pick it. It picked him. He said it was like an ad on his, on the real estate page. It just showed up and said, you have to have this, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, to be honest, what picked me, the Milbergers, Carol and Wayne Milberger, under Wade's guidance, he started Kerrville Hills Winery in 2008. Okay. And they gave me the opportunity to take Kerrville Hills kind of to the next level, as they were wanting to retire and spend more time with their grandkids and kids. And, that's why, I mean, like, it kind of picked me. And then we just started, looking at plucking things in and around, the vineyard out west, near Hunt. And then we put the little vineyard in at Schreiner University. So yeah, it and the Milbergers kind of chose me to be in Kerrville.
Okay. Interesting. So, I love ChatGPT because sometimes there's some information I want to get, but I don't know how to put the words out.
I hear you.
And it spits out some great stuff on here. So, like, for example, it talks about the elevation and the microclimates in the hill country.
Oh yeah, they're amazing.
How I mean, because I know there's several AVAs within the hill country because of the terroir that's here. Yeah. So explain how the Kerrville area, and what AVA is that in? That's in.
Well, we're still the Texas Hill Country.
Okay.
There's Bell Mountain, which is up on the other side of north of Fredericksburg. Actually, it's real close to where we're sitting right now. It's just up the road on 16.
Okay.
And then there's Fredericksburg in the Texas Hill Country. Right. And then the Hill Country. Then the Hill Country is the big AVA, and those are the two inside of it. We haven't registered any new ones since then, so it's really just those three. Okay. But I mean, inside of that, it's giant, right? Like, so the difference between growing on the Pedernales River Valley, where you've got, granitic alluvial soils on the north side of the river, dark, super fertile, clay loam soils on the south side of the river. Then you get down to us, where we're kind of like the break of the Balcones Escarpment. So it's big fractured limestone, not much water, very, chalky, in some places. And then like at Schreiner, where we're growing, it's river gravel. Right. It's pretty kind of cool. It's Yes. So you got all these different climates, right? Like, so, less than 5 miles away, the winery sits at like 2,100 feet in elevation. And then the Schreiner tasting room and the vineyard is like 1,500 feet. Whoa. 1,505. Wow. So the elevation change is amazing. Right. And that's all through the hill country, right? Like, so like, oddly enough, people don't think about this, but we're higher than Fredericksburg. Right. Like where we are at Kerrville Hills, right? So it's just interesting how all the plateaus work around and it's all based around the Balcones Escarpments. We could get super nerdy. Like, I'm a geologist. Like, we could go for. We
don't have to do that in an episode because you and I have talked multiple times, and we've gotten like on a soapbox, and we've had to kick each other's soapbox after underneath those. But so you've been making wine now for what, 15, 20 years, 30 years?
Almost 20 years.
Almost 20 years.
I mean, so the whole journey is knocking on the door 20 years. And I wouldn't say making wine, because when I started out, I was going to run operations and just grow grapes. Okay. And then our consultant, Greg Stokes, is like, hey, John, you're pretty good at this. You know, like you get, I mean, winemaking is just processing, right? Like, I'm a process guy, right? So my brain works in that fashion. And so, yeah, I think technically this will be 17.
Okay.
Maybe.
Oh, you know, they say you only get to make wine once a year.
Yeah. Well, you know, and to that point, I mean, I think one of the reasons why I have the experience I have is I'd make wine in Texas, and then I would get my wines finished in Texas, and then California was just enough behind us where I'd go to California and I'd spend time in California working with Greg as an understudy to learn. And so, you know, the first 8 years of my winemaking career, I did first 9 years of my winemaking career, I did 2 harvests every year. So you get you get all that, you get extra experience, right?
Wow. Okay.
Which is also kind of like with the incubator, you're only as good as the amount of experience you get, right? So you come to the incubator where you may buy 20 tons, right? If you did it at your own place, you only get 20 tons of experience.
Right.
But if you're there for us to do 300 or 400 tons and you work through that whole process, then you're getting that level of experience, right? So you're getting some pretty rapid fire experience at the same time.
So leave right into the next part. So why did you end up starting the second label, your Rivenburgh wines?
So Rivenburgh wine really is the first. Like that's Rivenburgh wine started in 2014.
Okay. You know, everybody that I've talked to that are not familiar with the hill country always thinks Kerrville Hills came first for you, then Rivenburgh wines was your second one. Yeah.
Well, Kerrville Hills came first. It was started in 2008 by Wayne and Carol, right?
Yeah, but it wasn't your baby first.
It was not mine. Yeah. No. And so mine was Bending Branch. And then in 2014, I started Rivenburgh Wine.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then I maintained Rivenburgh Wine through, you know, years of consulting and, you know, the developmental work and all the different things I was doing. And the brands, you know, it's ebbed and flowed. But as a consultant, I've always felt like, which I hate the word consultant because most consultants don't really do anything. They just kind of like take your money for like a whole broad varying opinion that you go figure it out. Here's all my opinions and I'll take the check. Well, you guys go figure it out.
You could change the name to that. You can call it Pimp. Literally everything you just said describes.
Yeah.
Sorry,
backhand's pretty strong, you know. But no, I'm all joking aside. But I, you know, if you want people to hire you, they got to have something to play, especially as a winemaker. I feel like you need to have something for them to hire you for. Right. And so I always maintained Rivenburgh Wine. I got to get, you know, like you leaving out of Bending Branch. I got to give Mike Baytag a shout out at High Meadow. I mean, he helped me, you know, keep that thing alive in the first, you know, 15, 16, helped me keep that thing alive and moving forward. And Donner Day Johnston, who worked with me for a long time, that brand probably wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the help they gave me early on in that transition. But yeah, so we still keep it. We still make a little bit, like, you know, we're kind of an enigma, right? Like we do a lot of different things. I think too, like the fun part for me is, and if most people knew how many wines I had something to do with, kind of funny, you know, like the ones I'm allowed to say and the ones that I'm not allowed to say because, you know, NDAs and things like that. But,
you know, it's amazing when you and I were talking yesterday for a few moments, stuff that you're saying, I'm like, oh, I didn't know that, you know, and you know, everything's always safe for me. You know, I'm not gonna say anything. Well, you know, it's you know, there are sometimes there's a lot of people that don't want to take the credit, which is admirable that you don't want to take the credit.
No, yeah,
you take the credit behind the scenes, but you don't take the credit in the front.
Well, I wish, you know, there are times where I wish I was as popular to the consumer as I am in the industry.
Right.
So I think in the industry, I'm pretty well known. Right. But outside of that, most people don't really, which is good and bad, right? I mean, it's got its pluses and its minuses, you know? Yep.
Well, you know, I have drank a lot of your wines, give or take. Now that I know some of your stuff, I'm wow, that's all I have to say.
Thanks, man.
It's, you know, we've I've been to 128 different wineries now. And I've drank a lot of different wines, that I've tried some good stuff and I've had some bad stuff, and I had some stuff like, okay, this is great. But the few places that I've drank wine that you've told me, holy crap.
Thanks, man.
It makes more sense now. It kind of brings everything together now.
I feel like, the thing I'm probably most proud of is that I have helped to curate maybe a style by some of the winemakers that I've trained. But watching them take that style that I helped to build the foundation around and then do so many good things on their own, that's cool, man.
Oh yeah.
I never got that I never understood that as like a teacher, right? Like took me till I was 45, 47, 48, almost, now 50 to figure out like, that's the reward, right? Is watching somebody that you trained, right? Take it and really make something their own, and then really like excel.
Oh yeah. Well, I remember one particular story from Janet Merchant, where she came out there and was learning under you, and she was telling me that she had a notebook out there, was writing notes and all that. And you told her, put the notebook down and come over here and clean.
Yeah, I was like, handed her a squeegee. I was like, here's a squeegee, put the notebook down. And she was like, oh, but and that's that's kind of the way. That's kind of the way we work. You got to learn. It's just probably, it's probably off color. I'll probably get canceled for saying this, but I loved the Karate Kid movies as a kid, right?
Oh, yeah.
Who didn't love Karate Kid? Well, one of my biggest jokes is like when people come to the winery and they're like, I want to start a fermentation. And I'm like, first must learn squeegee floor, then learn scrub tank, It's like, you don't get to, until you're proficient at squeegeeing the floor.
Yep.
You're not going to go to the next thing. Yeah, right?
You got to clean.
You got to clean. And they're like, do you really clean this much? I'm like, yes. Every day, just start and to finish. Yeah. But that's always kind of the joke, right? Like first must learn squeegee floor.
Yes.
Yeah. Then learn scrub.
Well, then did you use the whole squish like grape analogy also? You haven't done that yet?
I need to. I'll add that one to the repertoire. Yeah.
Walk left side road safe. Walk right side road safe. Walk middle road, squish like grape.
Squish like grape. Yeah.
You're welcome.
That's a good one. I'm gonna use it.
Oh man. So is Rivenburgh your wines your incubators in? Or do you have a whole little label for that one?
So we don't really have a label for the incubator. So it is the technical name for it is the wine incubator.
Okay.
We're building right now. We're building a website that will kind of bring clarity to all the different factions of everything that we do. Right. So we try to run the wine incubator as its own deal. Kerrville Hills Winery is its own brand. Rivenbugh Wine is its own brand, and so we're trying to, they're all, it's like they're all under the same umbrella. This is what always cracks me up. It's like people understand that Heath Family Brands has multiple things, right? They don't understand that I have multiple. They're like, I don't get it, and it's like, well, I don't get what you don't get. Like this is an incubator. This is a Kerrville Hills. This is Rivenburgh. They're all labeled differently. We don't make wine for the wine incubator. That's just the, the teaching, shared use component of what we do.
Okay. So, and I'm going to circle back around because I actually brain kind of jumped way ahead everything.
Yeah.
So, every winery here in Hill Country has to have, I don't want to say gimmick, but has to have that draw, to their winery. Like you got St. Ferry, who's the cave, and then you got like Sandy Rhodes, who's got a tree house, and you got Portree, who's all about art. What do you have at your location that draws people in? Wine.
I don't know. Me, the guy who started a lot of it.
I mean, you are a big personality.
I mean, I'm not a gimmick guy, right? We laser focus in on wine. We make wine, right? We don't have rhinos. We don't have kangaroos. We don't have, I wish I had money to build a cave. I would have a really cool cave, but I don't, right? So, I mean, our gimmick is just being authentic. Right. And I don't know where we lost that. Right. Like, so authenticity, not that those other places aren't, right? Like, so Sandy Road is growing and making some amazing wines. Portree, who's in the incubator, makes some amazing wines. And I love Janet's authenticity around the fact that she's an unbelievably amazing artist.
Yes.
Is really, really cool.
100%.
So those I don't want to take away from those things. And like Slate Theory built a beautiful cellar, right? I don't want to take away from that. But the crap that just like, you know, you're bringing in South African wines, or you're bringing in, you know, you got a Rhino, or you got, you know, a carriage ride or something, you know, like our goal, and I don't know if somebody does that or not, but you know, but our shtick is that we make good wine and we have great hospitality, and that's what you're going to get when you come to our place.
And that's what I'm not going to say all wineries need, because there's some wineries, you know, they need the hospitality, but they also need that little extra push or something different. But I think to make people to have an experience, and this is my personal opinion, make your tasting attendants knowledgeable about not only your wines, but other Texas wines.
Of course, they should be.
And know the regions of Texas, know the grapes that are grown in that. And then let's say, for example, you got people that come down here, hill country, and they want to know about North Texas wines.
Yeah.
Point them places up there. Yeah. Where, like, when I get people that come down here, they always ask me, where do I need to go down here to the hill country?
Yeah.
And I name off these small mom and pop places. I tell you, you got to go here, you got to go here, you got to try this here, you got to drink this here, you got to do this here. But it's all about being authentic, about the person that's in the room that knows how to talk to the people, and not pour wine and say, this is supposed to taste like cherry and walk away.
Yeah, of course not. I mean, I think we're at a place where understanding what is and what isn't Texas wine, though, is important too, right? Like, there's a lot of places that people get pointed to that you can buy that same wine at HEB. You just don't realize it. You know what I mean? And it's not necessarily an agricultural product developed in Texas. So I think understanding that vein kind of goes back into what Texas Wine Growers is doing. Right. You know, promoting and protecting Texas made agricultural products, right? Just have to be out of grapes. Yep. And so I think directing people towards places that are in that vein are important, right? Like, I mean, I you know, I'm polarized, right? I want people to go taste things that are from regions.
Right.
I wouldn't travel to France and ask to taste an Australian Shiraz. They'd probably take you outside, beat you with a stick, you know? And some of those guys are pretty tough, man. The French get a bad rap. Some of those dudes, I met some pretty surly Basque guys that I wouldn't tangle with down in the south of France. Oh man. But to the point, right? Like, you wouldn't go to California. Like, are there bottle shops? Of course. Yeah. Like, absolutely, right? But there's a difference between a bottle shop, a tasting house, and a winery. Yep. Right. And I think we're at a point in this industry where we should start to delineate between those things. Right. I'm not advocating for any of those other things to go away. Right. I just think it's time for the consumer to understand the realities of the difference. Right. And I personally feel like we have enough consumer base here that can support all of it.
Oh yeah. I agree with you 100%. You know, I think a lot of Texas people, residents, let's say Texas residents, true Texas residents, not immigrants into Texas, that don't understand how much wine in Texas is good and is amazing and beautiful and sexy and all those not descriptive words that I can't think of right now.
Well, you know, so it's funny that you bring that up, because I think often my biggest hurdle with consumers are Texans, because for whatever reason,
they're stuck on California. My
predecessors, right? Well, I'm going to say something that's not real popular. Like, our industry in Texas wine was grown. It wasn't started, but it was grown on great hospitality and entertainment. We do it better than anybody else in the world.
Oh, yeah.
Texans are the best, right? But we also fell prey to this narrative that you couldn't make great wine and you had to buy everything from out of state. And it became a narrative that they used as a crutch, which became a wives' tale, which then became perception, which then became truth. Right.
Yep.
And so now, right, Texans, we're fighting this battle against what the early onset of this industry's narrative was. Right. And, you know, like, hats off that you couldn't get enough grapes to feed the machine that you had. Well, y'all should have planted more grapes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, instead of just listening to your consultant and bringing more fruit in or juice in from elsewhere, you should have put the investment in. That's what every other wine industry in the world that has validity to it as they got popular, they planted grapes to feed the machine that they had.
Right.
Now, if my colleagues and predecessors would have done that very thing and stopped living off of the narrative, and not all, and I shouldn't say, it's a weird thing how that develops, right? Because there's a lot of folks who have been doing this a long time that are staunch advocates for Texas wines, right?
Right.
And we wouldn't be here without those people, right? And I understand the crutches and hurdles that they had, but at the same time, like, we've got to get past this, like, song and dance, because people from Texas believe that it's just junk.
Yeah.
I have people come from out of state, Will, and they're the easiest ones to convert to Texas wine.
Oh, you know,
100%, because they come with no preconceived notion.
Correct.
If you're living in Highland Park or you're living in Richardson, you know, fancy parts of Houston or Dallas, right?
Yeah.
For years, your friends and colleagues and the rumor mill goes from Texas wine's no good, so why would you drink it? So
Right.
you just keep drinking the stuff from California that the sommelier is telling you to drink. And whenever they start to look at Texas, and we as an industry keep telling them, like, you get up there and you get up there in front of the Senate and you go, there's no good grapes in Texas, so there's no reason we should pass this bill. And it's like, well, that's just BS, dude.
well, here, let me bring you a case of wines from these wineries here, and you tell me the difference now.
Yeah. I mean,
Well, you know, you and I both know I work at Landon Winery.
Yeah.
And a lot of people come in there because we got conventions that run all the time there. And a lot of people come in from out of state. And the first thing they do is they walk in there and they're like, do you have anything from California? I said, no, I don't. I got stuff from Texas. And they'll say, oh, Texas doesn't make any great wines. And I'll tell them straight up, I'll say, you pay for a tasting. If you do not find one wine in here that you do not like, I will pay for your tasting. They end up buying bottles.
yeah.
And it's because their misconception
Yeah.
that they've heard Texas doesn't make great
They
wine.
just need to be educated.
Yeah.
And people just need to be there. And that's what we've been doing, Texas wine growers, the last couple of years. And I think that's why you're seeing events like this,
Yeah.
where there's going to be, you know, over a couple hundred people coming to taste 100% Texas
Yeah.
wines.
Yeah. And we definitely need more of these across the state, not just in certain parts. We need them all over. We need people to try the different wines we have. And I know every region of Texas where there's major areas for the wine growing or even wineries, there's always like 7, 8, 9,000 festivals going on.
Yeah.
You got a big major festival, and then you got little micro festivals all around, you know? And so it's great that we're doing that. I also think and this is what I see in here, is it also runs our winemakers and our owners ragged because they're trying to make it to all those, and they can't make it to all of them because,
Dude, I work 7 days a week.
Yeah.
I know exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. you know, so it's a good thing / bad thing, you know? And then I was actually fixing to go with that, something else.
It's not going to build on itself. Sorry. This thing keeps ringing in my pocket.
Oh, no,
I
you're
need to
good.
make sure I'm not getting into trouble.
Yeah, not yet. So let's make that into a segue of something else. So let me change speeds over here. Before we actually do that, is there anything else you want to talk about your Carville Hills and your Rivenburgh wine before we actually change speeds? Where can people find you? Your physical location, online?
Yeah, so we're online. We ship all over the state. We've been known to load up the truck and deliver wines all over. Our tasting house for Kerrville Hills, and you can get both those wines at our tasting room. It is Kerrville Hills Winery at Shriner University. We have 2100 East Main. We're open Friday, Saturday, Sunday from 1 to 7 on Friday, Saturday, and 1 to 6 on Sunday. Okay. Yeah, we got a great lawn. That place is beautiful. Like yesterday, so Shriner just got they just started a female flag football team, a collegiate flag football team.
Okay.
It's pretty cool. You can see the football field from our front porch. So you sit out there. Yesterday they sat out there and listened to the play-by-play and watched the games and drink wine.
So you got free admission to a football game.
Yeah, tasting house. The tasting house is in a 120-year-old Frank Lloyd Wright inspired home.
Wow.
That's been perfectly preserved, and we're super lucky to be there. I mean, it's a gorgeous spot. It's a hidden gem. So that's 2100 East Main, Kerrville, Texas.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And also you have a wine club membership as well.
We have a wine club membership. It's pretty standard. I like I like things to be technically very easy. So we've got we got 3, 6, and 12 mixed and red. It's pretty simple.
It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's low key, man. You can find all that on our website, coverhillswinery.com.
Okay, cool. Well, so let's change gears now.
Okay.
Let's switch it a little bit more. Let's talk about something amazing. So you and I have sat and had many long conversations when I come back from Oklahoma and you come from West Texas and stuff. And I really got to know who you are and what you mean to Texas. You and Roxanne are champions for, you're like the two big people I notice are champion for Texas. Now,
Roxanne Meyer?
Yes.
Oh, that's a good company.
Yes. She's an amazing woman, and I've sat down and I've talked to her for a lot, and we've nerded out, and you and I nerded out. But I wanted to do something with you different than I've done with anybody else because of your stance about Texas fruit and 100% Texas fruit in the wines and stuff.
Yeah.
And I want to do a little bit of history work with you on this. Okay. So let's talk about the past of Texas. We kind of talked about it just a little bit ago, but I want to talk about the key points of the pioneers of the Texas wine industry.
Okay.
So I know that Balleringo Jr. was one of those original, not junior, seniors.
Yeah.
And he's still, man, he is pressing out there and doing grafting on vines all the time.
Yeah, he's amazing. Yeah, he has been a consummate champion for Texas wine, Texas agriculture. I think they're celebrating their 50th anniversary this year or next year. I'm not sure. And there's a lot of those folks that did that. Yeah, I mean, Bonarigo, Newsom, McPherson's dad, obviously. The Reddies. I mean, they were. The Binghams, like there's a lot of growers out there that were integral in the development. Dr. Becker. I mean, without Bonarigo and Becker, like this industry would not be what it is.
Okay. And a lot of people, when they ask me, who helped bring this all in, and the two names that come up was Dr. Becker and Bonarigo Sr.
Yeah.
And I tell them that, and they're like, oh, okay. And they said, was he own Messina Hoff? And I said, well, that's Bonarigo down there. And they're like, aren't they the ones that own the one in Hill Country and the one in the College Station? I'm like, yeah, the exact same people. I'm like, oh, okay. And they get excited about it. Like, we've been all through those stations and stuff like that. It's awesome to sit there and still watch Paul online talking about grafting vines and pruning them, getting them ready, especially getting ready to plant from the nursery.
Yeah.
Trim these all, make sure you got it all good and stuff. And I just love watching him do that,
You can watch Paul do just about anything. That guy's a character, man.
Oh, he is.
And he's a good man.
I like to hear what he says sometimes off camera when he does something wrong.
We've had some pretty colorful conversations of our own. Man. Yeah.
But something I've noticed, and this talking point here popped up, and I noticed this the other day. I've noticed a lot more shift of hybrid grapes than the Vitis vinifera. Am I correct on that, or is it the opposite way around?
No, you're correct. I mean, look, the way things work, right? Like you get somebody who wants to out research, somebody who wants to outwork, somebody who wants to outdo something else. Things go through like waves of popularity, right? Right now, you've got things that are going through waves of popularity as it relates to like hybrids, right? And whoever goes out and screams the loudest about how great they are is what becomes popular. My opinion, like I'm not a big fan, right? I think that like you've genetically changed this vine to be resistant to one thing, but then like it's not resistant to other diseases that we have in the area, right? Or fungal pathogens and things like that. And so I don't know that like, and again, this is going to be wildly unpopular to a lot of people who love hybrids, but I don't think hybrids are the answer to, poor viticulture practices.
That's fair.
And I mean, you like to say you can't grow. Like, I think it's funny when they go, well, you can't grow vinifera in the hill country. Well, I mean, how many vineyards are old? How many vineyards are there? How many vineyards are operating? Right. Yeah. It's just not. it's not true. Right. And so it goes back to that, like, so then you've got researchers whose research dollars are tied up in, these hybrids doing well, and then they're promoting it and so on and so forth. And then it becomes, then it becomes perception, then it becomes reality. Right. I don't buy it. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that are growing them, and I'm sure they're making some fine wines out of it. But I mean, Cabernet grows on every corner of this globe because it grows. We're not the only place on the planet with Pierce's disease, right? Like, so this whole story, I mean, it's just it's one of those things. It becomes popular, it becomes trendy. And then the people who don't really know enough, to be honest, like jump on the trend. And then that trend, then they wind up trying to figure out like, oh, well, this stuff gets black rot really bad too. Like, well, how do we fix black rot? Because I'm more scared of black rot than I am anything else, to be honest. So it's just one of those things that, like, and it happens in everywhere. It's not just Texas. Like, trends beget reality, then become like what people are, enough people are saying it enough, right? It becomes the thing, right? It's like,
well, so who decided one day that we're going to go up to the high plains and say, let's grow grapes up here?
Well, Doc McPherson was like one of the first guys. I love it, back in the day. And I think Don Brady, when he was at Yano as the first winemaker, Craig Rooney, and Neil Newsom and his dad Cornelius. I think those were the originators. I mean, I was 3. Then they started doing that, right? So I think it was like 1978 was some of the first stuff. And then UT had the big Fort Stockton vineyard that went in. And so I honestly, I don't know a huge amount about that early history, other than I'm glad that they were doing it.
Yeah.
Right. And I think a lot of that stuff too, man, it's one of those other deals that, a lot of the consultants, predatory consultants were like, you have to do this, you have to do this. And they wouldn't let our local guys do a lot of like early on. There has been a lot of experimentation by a lot of folks since, but they wouldn't, they pushed them into, ideas that worked on the West Coast that didn't really guide them to experiment on their own. Right. Like, so it's like, no, you must grow A, B, C, D. Right. And, it's like, well, they didn't really work well. Right. And so it's a long process to find out what something doesn't work.
And you start with a small block and you go bigger. We'll get right. So one of the biggest challenges we face right now for the current vineyards in Texas is we have a lot of climate changes and climate challenges and water management. Those are the 2 big things that I hear constantly.
Yeah, we overwater. I can tell you that right now. Like, all of our vineyards use way too much water. And that goes back to the early days of like AgriLife giving direction and advice, right? And that direction and advice, which some people took and some people didn't, right? They always caveated with it depends on each individual vineyard, but here's a general guideline. Well, I'm sorry, we had a lot of closed-minded people that just went, oh, they said that's the guideline, so they went out and did it, even though their vineyard holds a ton of water, right? And the vineyard down the road doesn't hold a ton of water. And then, when they're like, wow, we can't keep up with these vines because they're so vigorous. Well, when you overfeed them and overwater them at the guidance of people who aren't in your vineyard every single day, then you're going to wind up with more canopy management. You're going to have disease issue, and you're going to have ripening issues, right? And so it all goes back to that understanding what we do, right? And I think that's where guys like me, like, I wasn't wildly popular because I just disagreed with all the what they called like the resident advice at the time, right? When I was getting started, I was already growing things, and I was like, the things y'all are telling me don't make sense. Like, I know how to grow stuff, right? And you guys are telling me things that don't jive from a biology and horticulture standpoint, right? And so I just stopped listening to them.
That's
and
fair.
My vineyards over the years have proven to be really high quality. Like, I mean, Rustic Spur, like, a lot of awards. We farmed that thing for the last 13 years, completely different than anybody else.
Wow.
Abastris is doing a lot of the same, tools and techniques that we did. So, I mean, there's a lot of people that are out there that have shifted a lot of things they're doing based around my crazy rhetoric and me just going like, well, how do you know, John? Y'all haven't done any research. And I'm like, well, 13, it's worked. It works for this research. This is research. I'm sorry I didn't write it all down and have an intern, put it together in a matrix and a data study so you can read it.
Well, you can get your pair of the meta glasses and actually talk to them while you're working, and you can have it document everything for you.
Oh, good God, I'm not doing that. There's no way. No, I don't need metal glasses catching half the crap that comes out of my mouth, man.
Oh, man. Yeah, I know that one. I know that one for sure.
Yeah.
So let's move a little bit to the present right now. Okay. So one of the things I've noticed since I've been doing this podcast and been in the wine industry and learning to make wine and stuff, I noticed a lot of Texas winemakers used to imitate what Napa was doing. Mm-hmm. And now they're actually defining their own styles and their own ways of making stuff. And then on top of all that, well, let me add more to that. They're more imitating the old world styles, a way of doing things.
Yeah, it's just,
and then they're kind of like taking the Texas style, Napa style, and turning out their own little style.
Yeah, I think that was, I mean, I'm pretty vocal about this. Like, we're not Napa, right? Like, so many people try to pound a square peg into a round hole to make it taste like Camus or Opus One, you know, whatever, right? You name it, right? And like our terroir just doesn't give us that. And when you can manipulate a wine with additives and tannin, you can make a wine taste like anything you want to. Yep. But at the end of the day, then like if it's like over salting your dinner, right? Mm-hmm. At a certain point, it's not good. Right. You may think it's good, right, but it's not, right? And then when the consumer tastes, they go, "Oh crap, this is Texas." And I think the big shift is when we, and I think I will, right, wrong, or indifferent, whether anybody believes with me, I think that I'm a big driver of that ground floor influence around let's make what our grapes give us. Right. I've been doing that for a very long time. One of the biggest disagreements, you know, I shouldn't say disagreements, discussions that I had for my colleagues for many years is like, you gotta stop. Like, I don't care what your California like consultant tells you your wine should taste like, right? We don't ripen phenolically that way. We have a different phenolic ripeness and it tastes like this. Right. And so I think I was a spearhead on the movement around making wines that are more terroir driven and creating our own typicity around what Texas wines are. Right. And we still don't know what that is. Yeah. It's going to take a very long time for that to be created. We had to stop manipulating wines into something that they're not. Right. And I think I think there's a lot of people that maybe the epicenter started, you know, with me and a couple other guys that really wanted to push that. And it's slowly like vinifera, like, you know, the wives' tale became theory, you know, now it's it's like, oh, well, this really works. Yeah. Right.
Well, we're going to hit a couple of points. And I know there was a legislation that just recently passed about the transparency of wine at Texas wines.
Well, the truth in labeling law a few sessions ago. Yeah. That's the biggest one. Yeah.
I know a lot of people really enjoy that. I personally enjoy it because I want to know what all you put in that bottle. I don't want you to tell me you put 75% Texas in there and the other 25% is from Timbuktu.
It's a travesty that it can say Texas on a label and still be 25% something from somewhere else. Yeah. It's not right. Right. I mean, you wouldn't, you know, you wouldn't ground up Texas beef with, you know, 25% beef from Oklahoma and still call it
or kangaroo meat.
Whatever it may be. Yeah. But no, I think that we're, you know, I think the market is starting to show a need for transparency, authenticity, whatever you want to call it, right? The label law went a long way towards that. Yeah. In my personal opinion, I think that we still have more work to do because I don't think you should have Texas on a label unless it is 100% Texas. Yeah. This is John Rivenburgh personal, right? This is me personally saying that, not any organization, it's just my personal feeling.
And, you know, and I feel the same way. Obviously, you're a proud Texan. I'm a proud Texan, you know, and we will always pride ourselves on everything that we can do and don't need nobody else to help us out because we can do it here in the state. Yeah. Until it comes to wine.
Well, I mean, we can though.
Yeah,
I mean,
we can.
We're proving it right and left that we can make wines that stand up with anybody else in the world. You know, if the wine industry and consumers knew the level of interest in the wine industry, you know, I just rolled off as president of Texas Wine Growers this last week. I'm still on the board, but if the world of consumers knew how much interest we have from like the intellectual side of winemaking, right? With viticulture and enology globally, it'd blow your mind.
Oh yeah.
Like if that alone should make people drink more Texas wine, the fact that these professionals from all over the world, Champagne, Bordeaux, Burgundy, Alsace, Germany, France, Portugal, Australia, they're South America, Chile, Argentina, they're all coming here and like are interested.
Oh yeah.
Like it's really cool.
Yeah.
Like how interested people are.
Well, and it's even, we'll wrap it up here pretty quick. So let's talk about the James Suckling travel here.
Yeah.
That right there, I think helped put Texas on the map even furthermore than it's ever been.
Yeah.
Because I've had people come in and say, yeah, we read this article about James Suckling about Texas wine industry and we want to know more about it.
Yeah.
So it's amazing because somebody who is a what do they call it nowadays? These young kids, they call them
an influencer.
Influencer, yeah, they call him influencer. He's such a huge influence in the wine industry that it took him to write an article that says, "Watch out, Texas is coming after y'all."
Yeah, and Jonathan Cristaldi. I mean, those guys. It's no mistake that these guys that are the tastemakers are paying attention to what we're doing. James Tidwell, Master Somm, who has Texom in Dallas.
Yeah.
Dude, it's no mistake that he's paying attention to what we're doing. It's not because he just wants to be cool to Texans. The dude's on the decanter like team. Like he doesn't need to pay attention to what we're doing.
Right.
He's doing it because he sees and identifies great wines being made.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I love that he came here and helped that. Now, I want to know from you personally, John, and how you feel. What do you feel the future for Texas wine industry is going to be like?
I mean, the future of Texas wine's wide open, man. I mean, I think it's going to be vibrant. I think that we have shown growth where others haven't, right? I think that we have started to set the bar for quality and style. I think we're at this, like, we're, not to use a Malcolm Gladwell term, but like our tipping point is very close, right? And I think it's going to be pretty seriously like you're either going to get on the bus, or you're going to be left behind, or you're going to be on the backside of history, right? And I fully believe that, and I fully believe the consumer is going to start to look for more things that are authentic Texas.
Right. I think so too. I feel that Texas, we're in a slump right now. In all wine industry right now, across the world, wine is in a slump right now.
Yeah, but the only market by Wine America to show a 3% increase is the state of Texas. Everybody else is in a decline. We're the only market that was rated in an increase ever since like 3%. That's still an increase. Yeah.
So I feel we had a discussion about this the other day that we will come out of it first before everybody else will.
Yeah, I mean, we have the strongest wine market buying power, or like we have more buyers of wine, right, behind California consumers. Right. So we'll put it that way. If we can get our shit together and we can start like getting people to understand that like Texas is making great wine, every one of us will have massive brands.
Oh yeah.
Like the sky's the limit. Yep. We have the availability of all the agricultural land we need. We have the favorable business climate. We have, we have hardworking, innovative people, right? And we've got 30, 40 years of enology research and viticulture research, and research being just like, we've been doing it that long that we're starting to figure out like, oh, we screwed that up. Let's do it this way. we quite literally the sky's the limit right now. We're very much like California was in the early 70s, coming out of there kind of like they made wine since the 40s. Right. So sky's wide open, man.
Right. Well, John, I appreciate your time on here. I know we're here at the Great Growers Wine Association. Texas
Wine and Grape Growers Association.
Man.
Yeah.
See, I had to edit Will.
I mean, you can say it. You just might get in trouble, but not by us. But
Texas Wine Growers Association wine event.
Your boss might be calling you, going like, "Hey, man, like, I don't." It's also not very quiet out there. So, no, never mind. I shouldn't say that. Anyway,
I know you and I'm not out there raising hell. I mean, did I say that last?
That's right. That's right.
Well, I want to hit my sponsors right quick. So, one of my big sponsors is the Texas Wine Lover app. Great supporter of Texas wines. They've got a great app out there that can find Kerrville Hills and Rivenbugh wines, so you can go out there and drink wine, and then of course go right down the road and go to Bending Branch as well. You can come down here and find all the Hill Country wines, all the North Texas wines, any parts of Texas. You can find great wineries there. And then, of course, Old Vine, Texas, Eric. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
I do. Yeah, I know them well.
He brings a lot of the Hill Country wines up to North Texas for the people who don't want to spend 8 hours in a car.
Yeah, they've done a great deal. I think they're moving locations.
Yes.
That sounds cool.
Him and I have been talking the last couple of days.
Nice. I like Eric. He and his wife are lovely people.
Oh yeah, great people. When we met, I started introducing him to a lot of the North Texas people, and he wants to have like his plan is he wants to have a what do you call it, a regional wine area. So have Hill Country wines, North Texas wines, West Texas wines, East Texas wines, South Texas wines. I think that would be kind of cool to do that.
Yeah.
Side note, I want to do a cab pairing from different parts of Texas.
That'd be cool.
And try that with different meats.
You should do that.
That would be cool. Yeah. So we'll have to talk about that one later. That might be something I need to come and do with you.
Yeah. So we can find you some cabs.
And we'll go ahead and end with some quotes now.
Okay.
So I've ran out of quotes online, so I used ChatGPT to create me some Texas quotes.
Okay.
And so there's some good ones that's popped up. So the one I found for today is, "Sip the soul of Texas, wild, warm, and full of wonder."
Okay.
Yeah, I like that. I do like that. And then I found this other one right here. "Keep your boots dusty and your glass full." Well, that is definitely for you.
Was it for me?
Yeah, because I saw your boots dusty.
Was it for me? Yeah. Yeah. I work for a living.
Oh yeah. Well, John, it's been great having you on here.
Thanks.
You and I've talked a lot, and you're one of my mentors also.
I appreciate that, man. I really love what you're doing for Texas wine. I really love your passion. I have one quote I'm gonna leave you with, because I did get the commissioner's here, and I'm supposed to be to be playing host. Okay. But there's one slogan that everybody needs to know, right? It's the one I coined. So, drink Texas, Texas.
Yes, 100%. So this is Will.
Texas. I'm John.
This is We Know Texas Vino. Cheers.
Cheers.